Welcome to Tap In. My name is David Figueroa-Martinez of DFM Coaching, and today we're going to be discussing when you discover an abuse of power at your gym. So recently, they had some stuff at Atos. They've had things at a couple of other gyms. They've had specific people at gyms be kicked out for one reason or another. I want to stress this enough. Excuse me. I don't know all the details, so I'm not necessarily getting in on all of that. What I am getting in on is the issue that we have within this community and sports as a whole, or anything that has any form of power dynamic. Jiu-jitsu is a beautiful thing to jump into and to be a part of, but also there's an inherent structure that can be abused pretty easily. This happens in sports, this happens in work, this happens in anything where there is a person or group of people who make decisions that affect you and the people around you. It is hard to work through. It is hard to live through. It's hard to see. It's hard if you're the victims. It's hard if you're the people who are in that space. You are also victims. So let's be clear. You have the person who the act happened to, but now you have secondary victims that have really hard decisions to start making. And that's kind of what I'm going to cover. First and foremost, each gym should have a policy in place that dictates what occurs when something goes wrong. What the standard is for instructors, what the standard is for the community at large, what the standard is for the owner. Jiu-jitsu is just one of these weird things where there is no HR department. There is no one to report to. And the person that you can report to is often the front desk, the instructor, potentially owner. So there's no like side department that you get to go to and be like, hey, this and this happened. So it creates a really weird environment to have to tackle and work through. Additionally, on top of the hierarchy, there's a level of built-in, sometimes culty levels of trust that are expected of students and instructors, which feeds into all of this, specifically if you are the man or woman at the top. In most cases, men. When you're the source of answers, motivation, mentorship, in essence, discipline, promotions. It is a level of power, even if you're at a small gym. It is a level of power that most people cannot wield responsibly. Most men or people in those positions, I'm just going to go with men because we are typically in those, let it go to our heads, our egos, and then we start moving accordingly, thinking that nothing stinks about us, that we can get away with anything, that we can take advantage of people. We start reasoning that we get to do certain things because of the title of or the position we're in. It's an ugly state of affairs. It is terrible. Very few people can be in that position and not abuse it. Most people who get to that position may have had issues beforehand, and now this just heightens everything else that they're allowed to do or they can get away with. When it comes to the student base and the instructor base that are in these gyms when these things happen, it is a very difficult and emotional roller coaster to go through. The impact that these rumors or these things generate is immense. There's shock, confusion, denial. There's disbelief, this strong urge to minimize it. I'm not shocked, but shocked at the amount of of hate that people will start to get for responding or reporting things. And then there's the weird backlash that also occurs to students who had nothing to do with what occurred, but because they're in that gym or in that field, they also get backlash. And sometimes it's this weird thing of, oh, guilty by association. Sometimes it's, oh, you're an instructor there and you had been there a couple of years, you had to know something was going on. Sometimes it's just people feel a certain, so strong, and rightfully so, about the entire issue that everyone in that circle is going to get it. And it sucks. And I could only imagine what that feels like, and I could only imagine what that entails. There are people who are going to be in that circle who may or may not know things. There's some people in that circle who may feel like, no, there's no way this could have happened. Someone has to be lying. There's going to be people who feel like maybe something starts to click. Maybe they felt something, saw something, they minimized it at the time because they didn't think anything. We often look at these people with such high regard that will diminish certain things. For example, where I came from, it was not to the scale of what is being alleged at Atos from what I know. Who fuck I know. But what I experienced was verbal, like very impatient with people, students, and degrading them in front of people. I had the hardest time with that. Sometimes you rationalize, oh, they just had a bad day. Sometimes you minimize certain things and you don't really see, like, oh, maybe that's just the relationship they have. And so human nature is to kind of insulate yourself and protect the image of, especially in jiu-jitsu, when our identities, when you look at people's bios, are tied into the gym. I'm a black belt. I'm a purple belt. I'm a Gracie Humaita black belt. I'm a Atos purple belt. That's tied into our DNA. So sometimes when that initial impact happens, we kind of hide or like minimize certain things. And tied into that is that loyalty trap. Abuses of power thrive in environments where loyalty has been pre-programmed, where questioning anything feels like a betrayal, when having a free thought feels like a betrayal, when having the thought of maybe training can be a little different, maybe I can cross-train over here, is viewed as treacherous. They want people in these positions to be as loyal as possible because they know some shit is going to happen or has happened that one day might come to light, and they need people to stick around, is my personal opinion. I personally have never discussed loyalty with students. I've never complimented a student and said, oh, he's so loyal. It's not in my bag. It's not something I do. It's not something I even have to talk about. But I don't have anything that's going to come out. I don't abuse students. I don't talk to students disrespectfully. I'm not inappropriately touching students. So that's not something that's on my radar. It's not something I need to do. But I have this deep impression that people who are doing something that they know is wrong will create an environment where loyalty is the greatest quality. They speak about it a lot because they understand that at some point, something is going to happen about something that they're doing or have done, where they need loyal soldiers who will be loyal regardless of what that incident or issue might be. They don't want you to think for yourself. They don't want you to question it. They want you to be so loyal when something happens, so loyal to that person and that brand that you will start to defend it with all of your heart. Oh no, she's lying. Oh no, when he yelled at that student, it wasn't that bad. Oh no, it just happens. He kind of has a little bit of a temper. He gets frustrated. And you'll reason all these things out because, again, you've been trained to be loyal to the person at the head or the brand that it is associated to. And doing anything other than that is a betrayal. You may not even have understood that you were being trained to be that way. Every time someone says to you, oh man, that guy's so loyal, you hear how important loyalty is. You hear how important it is to your instructor. You hear how important it is to the academy. And then you step in a little further. I want to be loyal too. I want to be viewed as loyal too. Yeah, I don't really have a big picture of what that really means, but I want to be thought of the same way. I never really cared about being viewed as loyal. It wasn't high on my regard. What I wanted to be viewed as was, is he kind to people? And that's always been my driving force. The discussion about loyalty shouldn't even exist, but that's just me. So a lot of people, when this stuff happens, because they've been trained to want to be loyal, and the image that's portrayed within the gym is one of loyalty and protect and inward. We're an island. Where at the gym that I was at, cross-training was a no-no. Going to seminars was a no-no. Going to open mats outside the gym was a no-no. And we were in an island by ourselves. There was no going out, no one going in. And that's the structure that was built. And because it was built that way, it didn't, you don't know any better. You're not going outside and seeing how things are really operating in certain gyms because you're so insulated. Additionally, because you're not going outward, the hope is that when things happen, the word doesn't spread. And because you've been in this ecosystem, you will disregard the things that you see because this is everything. You have to protect it. The other thing that's going to happen is as you start to develop and ask questions and the things you hear, you're going to have to sort through the noise. It's going to feel really weird. You're going to have conversations with people that maybe you didn't have before. Who knew what? At what depth? Was this reported before? Was it ignored? Was it thrown to the side? Were people kicked out that you didn't understand why they were kicked out? You never found out why. There was this, people would leave the gym. And again, may not be the same apples to apples of the reasoning. But at the gym that I was at, people would leave and no one would talk about it. The only person, I wouldn't say no one, that students didn't really talk about it, or maybe they didn't discuss it with me. But I never really found out, why did this person and not leave, that person leave? When I started getting into higher rank, I had deeper relationships with people I was around a little bit longer. I kind of knew things behind, when you peek behind the curtain. So then there was a narrative that would happen. As soon as something broke, maybe it was just not even abuse. It was a fracture of how the job was supposed to be done, or how payment was supposed to be done or handled, or I was supposed to get paid this much, and the verbal contract went sideways or whatever. Someone would leave, and you'd be like, "Why did they leave?" And you couldn't get a straight answer. And then you would get answers from the top person, and it was always that they were doing this, they were doing that, they weren't very good at their job, and just smashing them and ruining their reputation within the gym. Happened to me when I left. And I knew it was going to happen to me when I left. I just knew it because it happens to so many other people. So then you have to factor in how much credence do I put to the story that I'm hearing from the academy side. Like all these people can't leave and all be inferior and all be bad and all be something has to be Something had to happen on this side. But going back to the loyalty trap, if you're unaware that you've been conditioned to be extremely loyal, you will not question the academy storyline. You're just going to accept it. But oftentimes they have to create a narrative. Oh, no, this person left because of this dispute over pay or dispute over class structure, or they were being greedy, or they didn't like that I was going to raise the prices, or whatever reasons come out there. Because there's going to be plenty. You have to wade through everything you start hearing. It is not a fun place. It's going to hurt. There's going to be a lot of rumors flying. Truth is some of you somewhere in there. You're going to have a lot of different people playing investigator and trying to find out this person said this and that person left because of this, and then this person got this text and this and that. It's going to be dramatic. It's hard to work through. Really hard to work through. I remember when 2 black belts left from the gym that I was at, and I was in shock that they left because I didn't see it coming. I think they left the night I got my brown belt. And I was ecstatic, and then I hear that they're leaving, and this is the third and something, and I was like, fuck, what happened? You won't, like, it gets very emotional and difficult to deal with. Keep in mind, if you're not involved, if you're not in leadership, this is not for you to fix. You should not feel like you should be fixing anything that's going on at the gym. I was in a position of leadership, and I felt like I was trying to fix things, and it felt like I was going against the stream. I would point things out, and sometimes I'd be admonished for pointing something out. And it was difficult. You can't reform some of the shit. You just can't. If you're not even in a position of leadership or power, you definitely can't reform any of it. You can't fix it. You can't jump into Reddit streams and try to say, no, this happened, that happened, this person's like, it's not even your job. Your job is to figure out what may have happened and make a decision on whether you want to stay or go. But you can't fix this. And if it's a weird culty environment, like what I happened to be in at the time, and I was trying to fix certain things and make certain things happen a little bit better, and they just never did. Ultimately, you have to make a decision because it's not gonna get better because of you. It just isn't. You don't have the power. This isn't a democracy. This is led by one person. And they get to determine what kind of environment they're going to have. They get to determine what way the ship is going to get steered, and you are just there for the ride. You do not get to determine anything about that ship. So understanding what your roles are is going to be important, and being realistic with yourself. Like there were times when I would see things and I'd be like, and I would have these conversations about something I saw, and sometimes the person would agree, yeah, like I should have handled that better. And you thought you were getting somewhere, and then it would happen again. And you're just sitting there like, I just had this conversation with this person. How are we at this again? It didn't happen to me, per se. Later on, certain things did happen to me. But there I am like, what the fuck? I can't change any of this. And I'm a black belt. I've been teaching a while. I had a position within the gym. I can't change any of this. So you shouldn't think you should either. It's not your responsibility. Not your responsibility. This entire process is going to be hard for anyone that's going through it. I went through it on a less dramatic scale. If you're at a gym that's going through what is going through at Atos, you have to make decisions. Whether you stay or go, you have to make decisions that are going to be right for you. If you're a public figure, your brand, your identity, your reputation. And you have to make decisions based on your moral compass. And it's going to be different for everyone. Some people are not going to believe anything that was said. Some people are going to ride with the person in power and say, no, they would never do this. In some cases, maybe. But decisions have to be made. And for every decision that's made, you're giving an aura of what you're siding with. Some people are going to feel comfortable leaving completely. Some people are going to have other avenues to go teach somewhere else, or they're going to have avenues to make money somewhere else, and they're going to have friends somewhere else. And then some people, they'll see some of the abuses that are going on and they'll ignore it, or they'll reason it out. And I don't want to start over, and I'm almost at my black belt, and I don't want to go somewhere new, or I have friends and family here that I love, and I don't want to go anywhere else. They're going to reason it out. And that's just the cold facts of it all. If you're at Atos or anywhere else where this is happening or happened, it's okay to leave. It's okay to make a new start. It's okay to go somewhere else. It's okay to, maybe you had an inkling of something and you didn't say something because you just reasoned it out. Oh, it can't be what I thought it was. That's natural too. Give yourself some grace. Understand that the decision to leave is going to be difficult. The reason I left was difficult. I remember having a conversation about the very fact, and I was asked, why don't you come to my classes anymore? And I said flat out, I don't like the way you treat people. And he's like, yeah, I'm working on it. And I remember feeling like, at this stage, I don't think it's ever going to get better. But I was holding on to hope. I was hoping that it would. Because the student base deserved better. And then there was an incident where someone got yelled at again. And I couldn't have it anymore. That was my breaking point. It was I'm getting out of here now. And whatever happens, wherever I end up, I'm just going to have to live with it and make decisions that some people are going to trash me at the gym. They're going to say I was disloyal, and he, they, she, whatever, are going to make stories about me, and I'm just going to have to accept whatever is going to come of it. But I have to make a decision that's right for me and what I stand for as a person. So again, loyalty is not blind. It doesn't mean you need to stay there because you've been there 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. If this doesn't feel right to you, if this feels like what you're seeing or hearing is wrong and you need to leave, leave. If you're in a space like I was, it doesn't get any better. It doesn't. It just continues. Leave. Go about your day. Go find new things that you want to get into. Find a new school. It's a healthier school. None of this is fun. And like I said, there are the victims that things happen to directly. And then there's like the people who are then affected because of what someone decided to do, that then have to make decisions for themselves as they are also victims to everything else that's going on. It's not fun. It is not fun. So for anyone that's involved, my heart goes out to you. If you need advice, if you need an ear, please let me know. For those of you that are in similar situations like I was in, it doesn't get any better. Start making decisions for yourself. Don't get caught up in all this blind loyalty shit. It's not beneficial. If you want to reach out to me, dfm.2099 on Instagram or Threads. Again, my thoughts are with anyone that's going through any of these things that are unfortunately happening at jiu-jitsu gyms and sports gyms in general. Until next time, thank you so much.